I never thought pretending to be in love would lead me to actually finding it. If you're wondering how a desperate single dad ended up married to his boss's sister, stick around. This story has more twists than my daughter's favorite roller coaster. Hey everyone! If you're enjoying this incredible journey of love, sacrifice and unexpected second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us life's greatest surprises often come when we least expect them. The first time Marcus Reynolds met his boss's sister, he was wearing a stained t-shirt and hadn't slept in 36 hours. His 5-year-old daughter Lily had been up all night with a fever, and he'd barely made it to the office for the emergency meeting Richard had called. The last thing he expected was to be introduced to Eliza Chen, who stood in Richard's office looking like she'd stepped off the pages of a fashion magazine. "Marcus, this is my sister Eliza. She's in town for a few months," Richard said, his usual stern expression softening slightly. "Eliza, this is Marcus Reynolds, our best financial analyst." Marcus attempted to smooth down his rumpled shirt, painfully aware of the dark circles under his eyes. "Nice to meet you," he managed, extending his hand. Eliza's handshake was firm, her smile polite but distant. "Likewise." What Marcus didn't know then, couldn't possibly have known, was how this brief, awkward meeting would completely upend his carefully structured life. Later that afternoon, Richard called Marcus into his office again. The blinds were drawn, and Richard was pacing, something Marcus had never seen his composed boss do before. "I need a favor, Reynolds." "A personal one." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. In 3 years working at Chen Financial Partners, Richard had never asked him for anything personal. "Of course, sir. What can I do?" Richard stopped pacing and fixed Marcus with an intense stare. "I need you to date my sister." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus was certain he'd misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" "Not really date her," Richard clarified, resuming his pacing. "Just, pretend to. For a few weeks." Marcus's mind raced, trying to make sense of the request. "I don't understand." Richard sighed heavily, dropping into his leather chair. For the first time since Marcus had known him, the powerful CEO looked vulnerable. "My parents are visiting from Shanghai next week. They've been pressuring Eliza to get married for years. She's 34, successful, beautiful, in their eyes, she should have a husband and children by now." Richard ran a hand through his immaculate hair. "They've arranged meetings with potential husbands during this visit. Traditional matchmaking. Eliza's career is finally taking off, and she doesn't want this distraction. So you want me to pretend to be her boyfriend to get your parents off her back?" Marcus asked, still struggling to process the bizarre request. "Exactly. Just for a few weeks. Attend some family dinners, accompany her to a couple of events. Nothing inappropriate." Richard leaned forward. "I know it's an unusual request, but I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important." Marcus thought of his daughter, of the mountain of medical bills from her last hospital stay, of the promotion he'd been hoping for. Saying no to the CEO who controlled his financial future seemed impossible. "What does your sister think about this plan?" "She agreed." Reluctantly, but she agreed. Richard's expression softened slightly. "Look, I know you're a single father. I know things haven't been easy since your wife passed. The promotion you've been working toward? It's yours if you do this." The mention of the promotion made Marcus's heart race. Better pay, better hours, better benefits for Lily. Still, something felt wrong about the arrangement. "I need to think about it," he said finally. "This affects my daughter too." Richard nodded. "Of course. Let me know by tomorrow." That night, after putting Lily to bed, Marcus sat on his worn couch, weighing his options. The promotion would change everything for them. After 3 years of struggling to be both mother and father to Lily while working full-time, he was exhausted. The promotion meant he could finally hire consistent help, maybe even move to a better school district. But pretending to date his boss's sister? Creating a lie that his daughter would have to participate in? The whole thing felt wrong. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Eliza Chen. My brother gave me your number. Can we talk about this ridiculous plan before you decide?" 20 minutes later, Marcus was sitting across from Eliza at a quiet coffee shop near his apartment, the babysitter he could barely afford watching Lily. Up close, Eliza was even more intimidating, sharp, intelligent eyes, an air of confidence that made her seem taller than her actual height. But there was something else too, a weariness around her eyes that matched his own. "I want to be clear," she said after they'd exchanged awkward pleasantries, "this wasn't my idea. Richard means well, but he's always trying to fix things." "Why did you agree then?" Marcus asked. Eliza sighed, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup. "My parents are traditional. They've sacrificed everything for their children's success. In their minds, that success includes marriage and family." She met his eyes directly. "I love my work. I've spent 10 years building my architectural firm in London. I'm not ready to give that up for marriage, but I can't bear to disappoint them again. So we pretend for a few weeks, they go back to China satisfied, and everyone wins?" Marcus couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. "Something like that." Eliza's smile was small but genuine. "Richard says you have a daughter?" "Lily. She's 5. Marcus couldn't help the smile that spread across his face. "She's everything to me. What would you tell her about this arrangement?" The question caught Marcus off guard. He hadn't thought that far ahead. "I don't know. I don't like lying to her." Eliza nodded slowly. "I respect that." She hesitated, then added, "Richard mentioned your wife passed away." "I'm sorry. Cancer. 3 years ago." The familiar ache in his chest had dulled over time but never disappeared. Lily barely remembers her now. Something in Eliza's expression shifted. "This is a lot to ask of you. If you say no, I'll make sure Richard doesn't hold it against you professionally." Marcus believed her, which surprised him. "Thank you. But I haven't decided yet." When he got home, Lily was still awake, waiting for him. "Did you have a date, Daddy?" she asked, her small face serious in the dim light of her bedroom. "No, sweetheart. Just a meeting with someone from work." "Was she pretty?" Marcus blinked in surprise. "Why do you think it was a woman?" Lily giggled. "You're wearing your nice shoes. And you smell like the special cologne Mommy gave you." Sometimes his daughter's perceptiveness startled him. "Yes, she was pretty. Now go to sleep, little one." As he kissed her forehead, Marcus made his decision. The next morning, he told Richard he would do it, with conditions. The arrangement would last only until Richard's parents left, Lily would be told a version of the truth appropriate for her age, and the promotion would be formalized in writing before they began the charade. Richard agreed immediately, relief evident on his face. "Thank you, Marcus. You won't regret this." But standing in Richard's office, watching his boss's satisfied smile, Marcus already wondered if he'd made a terrible mistake. The first date was scheduled for the following Saturday, a family dinner at Richard's home to introduce Marcus before his parents arrived from Shanghai. Marcus spent the day in a state of nervous anticipation, trying to prepare Lily for the evening. "Remember how we talked about pretend play?" he asked as he helped her into the pretty dress she'd insisted on wearing. Lily nodded solemnly. "Like when I'm a doctor and Teddy is sick." "Exactly. Well, tonight we're going to play a pretend game with some grown-ups. Miss Eliza is going to pretend to be Daddy's special friend." Lily's eyes widened. "Like a girlfriend?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Something like that. It's just pretend, though. Like when you play school with your dolls." Is it because her mommy and daddy want her to have a boyfriend? Sometimes Lily's ability to cut to the heart of adult matters was unnerving. Yes, sweetheart. They want her to have a boyfriend, but she's not ready for a real one right now. Lily considered this, her small face serious. So we're helping her? Yes, we're helping her. Okay. Lily nodded decisively. I'm good at pretend. Marcus hugged her tight, overwhelmed with love for this tiny, compassionate person. Yes, you are. But remember, this is a grown-up secret. We don't talk about the pretend part with anyone except Miss Eliza and her brother. I promise, Lily said, crossing her heart with solemn ceremony. When they arrived at Richard's expansive home in the suburbs, Marcus felt distinctly out of place. His modest sedan looked shabby next to the luxury cars in the circular driveway. He helped Lily from her car seat, straightened his tie, and took a deep breath. Ready for our pretend game? He asked. Lily slipped her small hand into his. Ready, Daddy. Richard's wife, May, greeted them at the door with warm smiles and ushered them into a living room that could have been featured in an architectural magazine. Eliza was there, looking elegant but approachable in a simple blue dress, her long hair loose around her shoulders. Marcus, she said, stepping forward with a smile that seemed almost genuine. I'm glad you could make it. She bent down to Lily's level. And you must be Lily. Your dad has told me so much about you. Lily, usually shy with strangers, surprised Marcus by stepping forward confidently. Are you Daddy's pretend girlfriend? A moment of tense silence followed before Eliza laughed, a genuine sound that transformed her face. Yes, I am. Is that okay with you? Lily nodded seriously. Daddy said we're helping you because your mommy and daddy want you to have a boyfriend but you're busy with your job. Marcus felt his face heat with embarrassment, but Eliza didn't seem offended. Instead, she looked at him with something like respect in her eyes. That's exactly right, she told Lily. You're very smart to understand such a grown-up situation. I'm 5 3/4, Lily informed her solemnly. A very impressive age, Eliza agreed, equally serious. The dinner that followed was surprisingly pleasant. Richard was more relaxed at home, and his wife May was warm and welcoming. Eliza made an effort to include Lily in the conversation, asking about her school and friends with genuine interest. By the time dessert was served, the initial awkwardness had faded. As they prepared to leave, Eliza walked them to the door. Thank you, she said quietly to Marcus. For explaining things to Lily honestly. Most people wouldn't have done that. She deserves the truth, even a simplified version, Marcus replied. She's lost enough in her life. I won't lie to her. Something shifted in Eliza's expression. Your daughter is lucky to have you. She bent down to Lily's level again. It was wonderful meeting you, Lily. I hope we can be friends, even though the girlfriend part is just pretend. Lily considered this, then nodded. Can you draw? Daddy is terrible at drawing princesses. Eliza laughed. I'm an architect. Drawing is my job. What's an architect? I design buildings. Houses, schools, museums. Lily's eyes widened. Like with blocks? Sort of, but on computers and paper first. Cool. Lily turned to Marcus. Daddy, can Miss Eliza come over and show me how to build better block towers? Mine always fall down. Marcus looked at Eliza, surprised by the request. I'm sure Miss Eliza is very busy. Actually, Eliza interrupted, I'd love to. If that's okay with your dad. The sincerity in her voice caught Marcus off guard. Sure, he found himself saying. That would be nice. As they drove home, Lily chattering happily about her new friend, Marcus realized the evening had gone nothing like he'd expected. The pretense of dating Eliza suddenly felt more complicated than he'd anticipated, but not for the reasons he'd feared. The next week passed in a blur of preparation. Richard's parents were arriving on Friday, and the first major family gathering was scheduled for Saturday night. Marcus found himself exchanging daily texts with Eliza, coordinating their story and getting to know each other's backgrounds to make their relationship seem believable. On Wednesday afternoon, true to her word, Eliza came to their apartment with a set of architectural blocks and spent 2 hours building increasingly elaborate structures with an enthralled Lily. Marcus watched from the kitchen as he prepared dinner, struck by how naturally Eliza interacted with his daughter. "You're good with her," he commented as they cleaned up after Lily had gone to bed. Eliza shrugged, but he could see she was pleased by the observation. "Kids are easier than adults. They say what they mean and they mean what they say." "Not always," Marcus laughed. "You should hear some of the elaborate stories Lily comes up with to avoid bedtime." "Fair enough," Eliza conceded with a smile. "But there's still an honesty there that most adults lose." "Is that why you agreed to this whole charade? Because adults don't say what they mean?" Eliza's smile faded. She was quiet for a long moment before answering. "My parents sacrificed everything to give Richard and me opportunities they never had. They left everything familiar behind, worked impossible hours, lived in a tiny apartment so we could go to good schools." She met his eyes. "How do you tell people who have given up so much for your happiness that what they want for you isn't what you want for yourself?" The vulnerability in her question resonated with Marcus. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I understand the weight of others' expectations." "Your wife's family?" Eliza guessed. Marcus nodded. "They wanted me to move back to Ohio after Sarah died, so Lily could grow up near them. I couldn't do it. My job, our life, everything we'd built was here. They still haven't forgiven me. That's not fair to you." "Maybe not. But from their perspective, I took their granddaughter away when they'd already lost their daughter." Marcus sighed. "There are no simple answers when it comes to family." Eliza's phone chimed with a text. She checked it and grimaced. "My parents' flight just landed. They're staying with Richard and May." "Nervous?" Marcus asked. Terrified, Eliza admitted with a rueful smile. "I haven't seen them in almost 2 years." Without thinking, Marcus reached out and squeezed her hand. "We'll get through this together." Eliza looked surprised by the gesture but didn't pull away. "Thank you," she said softly. "For all of this." As she left that night, Marcus realized with a jolt that he was actually looking forward to their fake date on Saturday. The realization was both comforting and alarming. Saturday evening arrived with a flurry of activity. Marcus had splurged on a new shirt and tie, and Lily was beside herself with excitement about wearing her fancy dress again. As they drove to the upscale restaurant Richard had chosen, Marcus rehearsed their story one more time. "Remember, we met through Richard, and we've been dating for 3 months." "I know, Daddy," Lily said with the exaggerated patience of a child repeating something for the 100th time. "And I'm supposed to call her Eliza, not Miss Eliza, because she's your girlfriend." "Pretend girlfriend," Marcus corrected automatically. Lily gave him a look that was startlingly reminiscent of her mother. "I know it's pretend, Daddy. I'm not a baby." Marcus smiled at her in the rearview mirror. "No, you certainly are not." The restaurant was the kind of place Marcus would never have chosen himself, all soft lighting, white tablecloths, and prices that made his wallet ache just looking at the menu. Richard had reserved a private dining room, and when Marcus and Lily arrived, the rest of the family was already there. Eliza came to greet them immediately, looking stunning in a deep green dress that made her eyes seem even more striking. "You made it," she said, the relief in her voice not entirely feigned. She bent to compliment Lily's dress, then straightened and, after a moment's hesitation, leaned in to kiss Marcus's cheek. The brief contact sent an unexpected warmth through him. "Ready for this?" he murmured. "As I'll ever."